AM 560, The Answer.
The content and information on Real Estate Airwaves is for informational purposes only and should not be regarded as legal advice. Real Estate Airwaves does not provide legal advice and make no warranty or representation regarding the information on the show. Real Estate Airwaves shall not assume any liability for damages of any kind whatsoever relating to the use, misuse, or reliance of this information. The listener should conduct their own investigations, analysis, due diligence, draw their own conclusions, and make their own decisions. Any areas concerning taxes or specific legal or technical questions should be referred to lawyers, accountants, consultants, brokers, or other professionals licensed, qualified, or authorized to render such advice.
No fluff, no hype, no gurus. You're listening to Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer. Get the inside information you need to find, fund, fix, and flip real estate in today's market. Joshua Ingalls and Vincent Pace share their secrets to minimize risk, maximize profit, and get deals done. We're pulling the curtain back and sharing the knowledge you need to succeed in real estate. And now, your hosts, Joshua and Vincent.
Thanks for tuning in. Today, we are talking about how to incorporate short sales in your business to make massive profits. My name is Joshua Ingalls. I'm an active real estate investor here in the Chicagoland area. Over the last 3 years, I've flipped over 60 fix and flip deals, and I'm also a real estate broker with United Real Estate.
And I'm Vincent Pace. I head up Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance. We provide short-term capital for all of your real estate investment needs.
And we've got a guest here in studio today, Anthony Latham, the president of National Title Solutions. One Take Tony.
How you doing, gentlemen? Thanks for having me.
Oh, great. Thanks for, again, joining us. Reason why we got Anthony in studio today, National Title Solutions is someone that I use when I need my short sales negotiated, so we'd figure to have the local expert in studio with us today. So again, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So a lot of people ask, well, what is a short sale? Well, a short sale, very simply, is when you have a house and it's worth, let's just say, for example, $200,000. But the homeowner owes $250,000. So in this case, the seller has to do a short sale because they owe more than what the house is worth. So the bank has to take less or short of what is owed. And if you're working with NBA players, you might call that a tall sale.
Someone has to typically be behind in payments in order for a short sale to be considered. So a lender's not going to do this if people are paying every month. So you're going to find the owner of the home will typically be running into some sort of financial trouble that's causing them to be unable to make payments regularly. There also usually needs to be some kind of hardship, a lost job, some medical issue that's costing the owner, et cetera, et cetera. So they got to be behind in payments, and there needs to be some kind of hardship going on.
Yeah, divorce is a big one that I see a lot. What are some of the hardships you see?
Yeah, I was going to mention, we ran into a few, we call them strategic short sales. For instance, we had a gentleman who lived in the city and lived in a one-bedroom loft and was having a family moving to the suburbs. And lo and behold, we presented that to the bank and they accepted it. We're doing another one as we speak. A gentleman was on title with his ex-wife. He's getting married and they're building a new home. So you present it to him in a fashion, they're not going to be living here much longer. Either we do the short sale and move forward, or leave, you know the ramifications of that. So they will work with you in those situations as well. You just got to have all your ducks in a row and present it to the bank in a good fashion.
Yeah, so sometimes what you may think is a hardship or not a hardship, you definitely want to run that by the team at NTS and find out, is this a reason why we could do a short sale? Many times it is. And another thing that short sales, you got to keep in mind, they're definitely not short. They do take a long time. What are some typical times that you're seeing?
We like to say 90 days, and that's pretty aggressive. The main reason we do that is because we have somebody working on it constantly. We've partnered with a team that we oversee that does a phenomenal job, and that's all they do. So, but let's be honest, Josh, we have some that are going on 9 months, and it's not lack of effort from the seller or the parties involved. It's usually the lender. It's a lot of, we never got this. Well, yeah, you did, but we'll send it again. So you just have to be diligent. You have to stay on top of it. That's the importance of working with a team that is putting their primary focus on that short sale. If they're running around doing other things, that's why they tend to last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
If you guys can get them done that quickly, I mean, that's pretty fast. We've seen them take a lot longer. I mean, in our notes here for this episode, Josh and I put down 4 to 18 months. And we've seen that happen in our office when, we put it under contract for a short sale like almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, I kind of educate my staff that have everything ready when you submit it to the bank. I don't want to piece things together. That's usually when things get lost. That's usually when you run into delays. So let's get everything together. Let's submit it at one time. So in the event they say I didn't get this, all you have to do is resubmit that whole package, and then usually it's foolproof if you stay on top of them.
Yeah, and what's great too is if you have a table of contents on that short sale package, you can say, well, look at the table of contents on page 35. You can see
exactly
this
what they do.
document. So
Yeah. I've heard some of the dialogue, and that's exactly.
Yeah. So, another question that I get is, well, why are there short sales? Well, there's short sales. Again, we talked about a few of those, but, people are underwater. A lot of people bought homes in 07, 08. They paid at the top of the market. So, if they're in areas like Plainfield, Joliet, Romeoville, a lot of those areas, and many, many other areas, Aurora, a lot of those values never came back to where they were. So they're still underwater 10 years later. And so that's why there's just this huge epidemic and still a lot of short sales out there, and people are always getting some sort of hardship and falling behind on payments.
Another way might be is if there was some sort of issue with the property that they just couldn't handle. If there was a water leak that caused a lot of damage and that devalued the property, but they just didn't have the money to fix it. That's another way where you're going to find that an owner might be underwater on what's owed on the property.
Yeah, and if you're an investor, there's definitely some pluses and minuses to consider. Some of my best deals have been short sales, but this is one of my favorite reasons. Usually, the bank is going to take a percentage of the BPO, which means broker priced opinion or appraisal, typically referred to as just the bank's valuation. So if it's an FHA loan, many times the bank will take 84 to 88%. Freddie Mac will take 88 to 92%. Conventional can take 70% of their valuation. So what this means, if a REO, bank-owned property, sold for $100,000 and the bank is valuating this property at $100,000 and it's an FHA loan, you might be able to get that same property for $84,000 cheaper than anything else that's sold in the neighborhood. So short sales, as in buying them as investors, many times when I'm buying short sales, I'm actually the lowest comp in the neighborhood because we're getting a significant discount.
That's actually something to think about when you're looking at comps. Short sale comps may not be good ones to look at even on the as-is basis. So the big benefit, of course, is that you're getting this discount, and lenders have various parameters for how low they'll go when accepting a short sale. The minus, of course, what we mentioned before, is that it just takes a lot of time. So you're going to be sitting there dealing with this for a while. You got to think about how your financing lines up. Do you want to use that money for another property if you're going to be waiting for this purchase to take 6 months? Going from there, you can look at the benefits to the owner. Why does the owner want to do this? Well, this allows owners to get back on their feet in the shortest amount of time. They're able to get out of a property that's a financial burden on them and into more secure financial waters in a shorter time than a lot of other remedies, foreclosure or bankruptcy might take.
Yeah, Anthony, I know you guys have been able to get people various amounts back with relocation assistance. You want to talk a little bit about that?
That's been huge. We automatically submit the file with some sort of relocation assistance on the settlement statement to show that's exactly what we're going for. I have a great story. One of our first short sales we did, a gentleman didn't realize that was an option, so he did a short sale. He was literally in tears saying, I was literally about to pack up my house and move my family to, I think it was Cleveland where family was. He got a mailer we had sent out. We did the short sale. Not only did we do the short sale, in less than 30 days, we got the gentleman back $17,000. So here's a gentleman who was ready to do what is called the Cleveland Brown. You move in the middle of the night. And, these folks can leave with some dignity on a short sale, too. You're not just leaving the keys on the counter. You're actually going to a closing, signing a deed, and leaving with some dignity and maybe even a check if you're lucky.
And selling on their terms. That's a huge deal. Especially think about somebody who was upside down. To even think that they could get $17,000 is incredible. And believe it or not, there's actually even benefits to the lender, right? You got to look at all the plus and minuses. With the lender, the lender has tons and tons of inventory out there. They have lots of foreclosures. So if they can prevent a home from going in foreclosure and sitting vacant for maybe 2-3 years, it actually will cost the bank less money to do a short sale as well.
It's just a math calculation for the bank. They're going to walk away with a principal loss, but if taking back that property, the holding costs involved in that, the legal costs involved in that, all adds up to about the same as they'd get now, why not just let it go now for a bit less? That's why they have these parameters. They're basically running that calculation with a rough number.
The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. The first 50 people to contact us will be getting a short sale checklist that you can use so you guys can start submitting offers on short sales and start getting great deals and help a lot of people. We'll see you soon.
Mortgage rates are still near historic lows. If you're looking to buy your first home, upgrade, downsize, invest, or refinance, contact Matthew Ewald from Draper & Kramer Mortgage Corp. Matthew has been a trusted mortgage consultant for over 13 years and has options to fit your unique needs. With 40-plus investors, call Matthew today at 630-376-0484. That's 630-376-0484. Or apply online at mortgagechicagoland.com. Company NMLS 2551, NMLS 198323, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee, Equal Housing Lender.
If you want to do real estate deals, you need to learn the systems. Visit fliptoriches.com for info on workshops happening the first Tuesday of every month. Meet me, Joshua Ingalls, and other active real estate investors in the Chicagoland area. We give the most value possible with networking and information for new and seasoned investors. We meet the first Tuesday of every month at 3009 North Kedzie in Chicago at 6 p.m. Check out fliptoriches.com. That's fliptoriches.com for all the info now.
Need capital for your real estate investment? Let Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance be your partner for fast, flexible, and certain capital. Since 2008, they've funded millions of home flippers, landlords, auction buyers, wholesalers, and more. And they'd like their next deal to be with you. Submit your preliminary application now at barnettcapital.com/prelim or call them at 224-205-7266. Again, that's 224-205-7266.
AM 560, The Answer. It's all about making money with real estate. Now, back to Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back. Today we are talking about short sales. Before we dive into how to actually do a short sale, there's two more benefits to the owner of the property, the seller, that I want to touch on. The first is that when you do a short sale, it doesn't ding their credit. It doesn't show up on a credit report. It's nothing negative to them, in contrast to a foreclosure or a bankruptcy or other more extreme remedy. Additionally, as an investor, you can often help them by pushing them to go for a full release of the mortgage. Many times they don't even realize they can ask for that, and often, a bank may be willing to do so.
Yeah, when we negotiate our short sales, that's one of the top two things we're going for. One, relocation assistance, and second is full release, so the folks don't get an unexpected tax bill that they have to add to their taxes as income. Because if you don't get that release, whatever is forgiven will be counted as income, and that can be quite significant for some folks.
Yeah, and keep in mind the owner is in control of the situation. If somehow the short sale approval is not to their liking, they don't have to sell the house.
That's right.
That's right. So, if you're listening and you're underwater, there is hope, and there are some options that you probably haven't considered. And a lot of times, the short sale process can be very complicated. So we're going to actually go dive into that a little bit so people kind of understand what's involved with the short sale.
So let's start at the highest level, just on a basic sort of what are the terms that need to be kind of figured out before you really dive into it. Well, first, the owner needs to agree to a price to sell it at. But that's not enough because you've got a lender involved. So the lender needs to also agree to let it go for that price. So there's already three parties kind of, negotiating here. And that price is going to be short of what they're owed. Other terms like relocation assistance, full releases, etc., they all need to be negotiated as part of it. And then lastly, you just got to execute on the documentation. So that's the whole process in a nutshell.
Yeah, and you need to have a real estate agent to actually list the property. and then you need to have a party before the short sale package usually is submitted. Somebody needs to make an offer on that property. And that's why working with investors, working with us as investors, is very beneficial to that homeowner because we can get that process started immediately.
Yeah. One of our realtors has a unique technique, as I like to say. He or she will list the property for what they would assume the bank would say is market value, and showing them, hey, we've had this listed for 30 days. We've dropped it significantly week after week. Now we're going for the kill, so to speak. We're going for the short sale. Then the offers will come in once you, put an offer on the table that's reasonable for that area.
Yeah, and keep in mind when you're submitting this package to the bank, we talked about national title. They don't like hodgepodging things together and sending over multiple things. They like sending everything all in one package. So something that really is going to set you apart and put your short sale at the top of the pile. A lot of these banks have a lot of short sale paperwork coming in. When they see something that's properly put together with a nice table of contents and everything in one place, it really makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, if you supply that settlement statement with the money they're getting and you put that right on top, that usually gets their attention, and they see all the documentation following. Yeah, you're going to get somebody quickly on the phone. Yeah,
so, just real briefly, some of the things that are in that short sale package you need to make sure, and we'll have that checklist, again, that we're giving out. You can call 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com for a copy of that checklist. But you need to have that cover sheet, the table of contents, that cover letter, the deal summary sheet, the authorization to release information. The national title, the negotiators, they can't speak to the bank on your behalf as a homeowner unless they have this third-party authorization. So you need to have that in the package. You need to have a purchase and sale agreement. Again, what is the offer on this property? You need to have a copy of a sample HUD-1. Again, that's why, or ALTA statement now. And that's, again, why working with the title company, they're putting all that together for you and makes your package that much more powerful.
The HUD-1 is, of course, where the bank's going to see the money they're getting. So that's the big thing that really has impact there.
What's their bottom line?
Yep, That's right.
You're going to be looking at the pre-approval for the buyer or the proof of funds if they're a cash buyer. The hardship letter. This is very, very important. Your goal with the hardship letter, I've had the best luck if it's a husband and wife, have the wife write the hardship letter. And why is that? Well, she's going to put the emotion into the letter. She's really going to explain why they got behind, what happened, tell the whole story. Your goal with this hardship letter is to, if it's a sad story, literally make the person at the bank cry when they read this letter. Because it is a piece of real estate, but there's a family attached to this, and this is where we can really do a lot of good.
Yeah, and some genuine hardships that make it more, I hate to say believable, but a lot of the banks are under the impression that you're just, taking advantage of the system, and that sometimes is the case. So, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, you're also going to need 2 years tax returns from the owner, the most recent 2 W-2s, paycheck stubs, sometimes just 2, sometimes they're requiring 4, depending on if they're paid weekly, biweekly, and so on. Bank statements, of course, the listing agreement with that realtor, and then documents that are proving the hardship. So the next step is that bank, they get an offer. They're not just going to take a loss and take your word for it. They're going to do their own due diligence, and they're going to order what's called, again, a BPO or valuation, or they might order an appraisal if it's a really high-end property. And the lender is going to review the offer versus what that BPO or valuation shows up at. Now, if those are way out of whack, they're likely going to reject that offer. And that's why in the next segment, we're going to talk about why it's important to be present at the BPO so that doesn't happen. And then the lender is going to either counter, reject, or approve that offer. And then if you're the investor, the next step is to, once you have that approval letter and the homeowner agrees to that, next step is to close. So, it's a complicated process. I just briefly covered it in just a few minutes here, there's a lot of moving pieces. A lot of times the bank needs updates.
Correct. Yeah, you have to. Our goal is when they request something, an update, a document, you got to get it to them right away. You can't wait a day, and that's kind of the problem with some of the folks. I guess you could say negotiating them. We know who they are. They're busy. They're in cases. They're at their paralegals are working on 500. So that's the importance. And a lot of times we find we're actually gaining business from real estate attorneys because they simply just can't keep up with the demands of the bank, and that can really drag it down. So the worst thing you can do is get an email. For instance, Equator is a system we use with Bank of America. If they upload, I need this, and you're waiting 5, 6, 7 days to get it uploaded, well, expect a 5, 6, 7 day return on your response, and the goal is get it immediately. It does take some cooperation from the seller. Sure. They have to get us what we need. So we're very adamant about that. Hey, if we're going to do this, these are our expectations. We need this to happen. So,
and you can see how that tit for tat kind of timing quickly adds up amazing, to 4 months, 6 months.
That's
8
exactly.
months.
Yeah, that's why it takes so long. So that's why I think our turn time with our team has been exceptional because we're working on just short sales, not anything else. Nothing else gets in our way. So somebody needs something, we're on it. It's uploaded, it's there, and I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, for example, attorneys, like you said, they're in court. They've got a million things going on. And I know a lot of people that have used attorneys. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they're just busy.
Yeah, and this isn't, we're not bashing in any way. It's just mathematics. Let's call it what it is. They're inundated with many other things, and getting back a check stub for Equator is probably not on the top of the list, but for us it is.
and I've found that attorneys, a lot of times, they're looking at it as this may not even close.
Yes.
And attorneys are used to billing hourly. And so short sales to attorneys in many ways isn't necessarily worth
not the
their
most
time.
Profitable for them, yeah. Absolutely.
So that's why you need a team to do that. Why I use a team versus using an attorney. I want somebody full-time looking at my file that's not taking off on the holidays, that's not out golfing at a,
right. And if there's any attorneys listening, we would love to work with you and partner with you. We can help you and make your job easier. And most of the costs remain the same. Nothing changes. You still get your share of the deal and what have you. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I know back in the day there were a lot of realtors would try to negotiate the short sales themselves. That caused
That's
so
dangerous.
many foreclosures because agents didn't know what they were doing. So it's always good to have a team to outsource. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. The first 50 people to contact us will be getting a copy of the short sale checklist we use when we submit offers to the bank. We'll see you soon.
You're an investor, a lender in commercial real estate, or you're an attorney, and you use a title company. National Title Solutions wants a chance to be your title company. Give them a shot at your business, and you'll find out why they're the best choice. Most title companies keep banking hours and have no flexibility. National Title Solutions will do whatever it takes on your timetable. You'll save money, too. Give them an opportunity and see the difference. Convenient offices all over. National Title Solutions. Call 800-NTS-2700. 800-NTS-2700. Mortgage rates are still near historic lows. If you're looking to buy your first home, upgrade, downsize, invest, or refinance, contact Matthew Ewald from Draper & Kramer Mortgage Corp. Matthew has been a trusted mortgage consultant for over 13 years and has options to fit your unique needs. With 40-plus investors, call Matthew today at 630-376-0484. That's 630-376-0484. Or apply online at mortgagechicagoland.com. Company NMLS 2551, NMLS 198323, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee, Equal Housing Lender.
The Chicagoland Real Estate Investment Group invites you to build your network in real estate investing and learn from the region's experts. There's no charge to attend, and there won't be any hard sell for expensive courses. Join us on the fourth Monday each month in the North Shore. For more information, visit us at meetup.com/ChicagolandREI. Again, that's meetup.com/ChicagolandREI. Meetup.com/ChicagolandREI.
Need capital for your real estate investment? Let Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance be your partner for fast, flexible, and certain capital. Since 2008, they've funded millions of home flippers, landlords, auction buyers, wholesalers, and more. And they'd like their next deal to be with you. Submit your preliminary application now at barnettcapital.com/prelim or call them at 224-205-7266. Again, that's 224-205-7266.
AM 560, The Answer. Now, back to the show that gives you the insider info. Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer.
We are talking today about short sales. In our last segment, we went over the steps of a short sale, everything you need to do to kind of get one done. In this segment, we want to drill into one particular part of that process, which is the BPO, the broker price opinion, or how the lender who's going to get repaid short of what he's owed values the property. Now, typically it's a broker price opinion, which means they hire a realtor as opposed to hiring an appraiser to do the valuation of the property. Generally, that's simply a cost-saving measure. When we're underwriting properties, we, in almost all cases, require an appraisal for our borrowers. So they're kind of looking at a much bigger portfolio and trying to scale costs down wherever they can, and that's why they get here. So remember, BPO stands for broker price opinion, not broker price fact. So they're really giving their best opinion that they can, and a lot of times they churn these out pretty quickly, so there's a lot of variability, which is one of the reasons why we prefer to rely on appraisals as a lender.
Yeah, you want to make sure the bank is doing what's called an internal BPO. An internal BPO means that someone is physically going into the house. And why that's important? Well, because the bank needs to see all the issues with the home. You know, if there's any serious hardship that a family has, more than likely the hardship is going to transfer over to the house, and there's going to be some issues with the house. So that's why when I do a short sale, I sit down with the family and I say, look, this is opposite of what a traditional sale is. We want to let the bank know everything that is wrong with the house. So why don't we sit down and make a list? Because if you show the bank legitimately all these issues and they have to take that house back, well, now these are issues that the bank is inheriting as well. So that's why it's important to get the bank in the house, and then you have that list that homeowner gave you and things that you've seen, and you show them those issues with the house.
As a lender, I mean, we run into this regularly. I mean, we see people say, oh, we can't get into the house before closing. What can you do? Well, I mean, we make all the worst assumptions. We assume if we can't see that it's good, it's bad. You know, we assume a full gut rehab. And a lot of times these BPO agents, they won't. They'll look at the house and say, oh, it looks pretty good. And they'll assume everything is great inside. And then you get in, you see there's 2 feet of water in the basement, there's a leaky pipe, and it caused all this water damage, and that devalues the house by a huge amount. So when we're underwriting, we consider it extremely important to have someone get in the house. And if they can't, you know, we can still find the way to get the deal done, but we have to ding it down a lot. So that's kind of the opposite of how sometimes it will turn out when you have a BPO agent going to a property and doing a drive-by in a short sale situation.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen $100,000 differences in valuations between drive-bys and internal BPOs. That's why it's extremely, extremely important. Now, when you're doing the BPO, I stress this, do not leave a lockbox that they can go in the property at any time they want. You want to be present. Why? Because if you leave a lockbox, they're going to go in and out of that house as quickly as possible, snap a few photos, and leave. You want to show them, again, all these issues with the house. And when I show up at the house, I'm not in my Jaguar. I show up in a beat-up car, and you want to essentially show that this is not some big sort of scam. You don't want to show up as this. You don't want to be wearing a full-out suit and wearing gold chains and that sort of thing. We're in a distress situation, so you need to drive accordingly and dress accordingly. And you really need to build rapport with that agent, too, that's there. So be early. You know, if it's really hot on a summer day, I give them a cold water, Gatorade. And, you know, we were talking on the break, you know, something that National Title does, you guys give them a package.
Yes, correct. We also want to do give them some updates and news about the community as a whole, because that's going to affect your price, you know, be it crime rate, sex offenders, just some quality stats about the area as a whole, because as I mentioned, you may have an investor who's in California looking at that saying, yeah, this is going to be difficult to sell. We need to get this off the books quickly. So you want to include that if there's some good information you can provide on a certain area.
Yeah, and when I meet this BPO agent, sometimes they won't take the package. So one of the first things I do when I meet that agent is I try to hand them the package and I say, hey, here's a copy of the offer for $150,000. And they say, oh, I can't take that package. Well, now they verbally heard what my offer was. And so now they're second-guessing themselves if they have another number in mind. So it's good to drop those little things when you meet that agent.
Yeah, because as much as a lender wants to get someone local, and a lot of times they're not. They're a few towns over, a few cities over, and they really don't know the area. So I think that's important that they know what they're dealing with.
Yeah, if the house has mold, I get out like a hazmat suit, I got a face mask. I go all out, and I have an extra hazmat suit and face mask for that BPO agent. You better put this on before you go in. Your whole purpose is to put doubt in that BPO agent's mind that this is not the house with the white picket fence that they think it is.
So you also want to be asking them lots of questions as you're doing all of this. How much do you think it will cost? Have them take pictures of every single issue. You want to highlight anything that can kind of plant these seeds of doubt in their mind of the value. Cracks in the walls, tile problems, water leakage issues, kind of anything you can come up with, even if it's not that huge of a deal. The more of these seeds you can plant, the more likely they're going to come down lower.
The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. The first 50 people to contact us will be getting a copy of the short sale checklist that we use when we submit offers to the bank. We'll see you soon.
Real estate agents are cheap. Many agents will only market your home on the MLS and put a sign up. Demand more. Joshua Ingalls invests in aggressive marketing, including high-def video, 3D virtual tours, professional photography, a custom website, and mailers, so you can get the most amount of money for your home in the shortest amount of time. Call Joshua Ingalls, broker with United Real Estate Chicago, at 630-544-1504 for a free home valuation, or visit hometeamil.com to learn more.
Need capital for your real estate investment? Let Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance be your partner for fast, flexible, and certain capital. Since 2008, they've funded millions of home flippers, landlords, auction buyers, wholesalers, and more. And they'd like their next deal to be with you. Submit your preliminary application now at barnettcapital.com/prelim or call them at 224-205-7266. Again, that's 224-205-7266.
AM 560, The Answer. Now, back to the show with real estate info you won't find anywhere else. Real Estate Airwaves is on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back. Today we are talking about short sales and why you need to have short sales in your pipeline and need to be making offers on short sales. So many times when we're making offers on these short sales, sometimes the owner has a sale date. And what a sale date means is this is when the bank is going to actually physically foreclose on the home and sell the house either at the auction or they're going to take that property back. So sometimes you're on these really tight deadlines, and you need to have methods in order to stop or delay that sale date. So, Anthony, I know you guys have a variety of ways you guys can get that sale date extended.
Yeah, obviously one's dialogue with the bank if they know we're working on a short sale. A lot of them are great about that. One important thing I don't think I've mentioned is we do partner with an attorney through this whole process in the event we need to go to the county courthouse. That has happened where we have a short sale going on, and then our seller calls and says, I'm getting a notice of a sale, an auction, and so we get our attorney involved. You do have to have an attorney. That is something we don't want to handle. We want the professionals to handle. So they'll get involved. And it has happened where, it's going to auction on Tuesday, and we call the bank. And sometimes these banks aren't talking to each other, unfortunately. So it's kind of our job to monitor that. And you have to stay on top of that because you could miss that. And next thing you know, you have that house going to sale at an auction and a tax deed or a sheriff's deed being issued.
Yeah, that's why, your first line of defense is, number one, just start that dialogue with the bank. I've found that sometimes if it's too close to the sale date, they don't even want to talk to you.
That's correct.
And that's when you need that attorney to go in for you and actually ask for an extension at the courthouse. And in some extreme cases, for example, I had a deal where I had a short sale approval, or I was on the brink of a short sale approval, and the home, and they had a sale date. We called. We went. We had an attorney go into the courthouse. None of that worked. So we actually did is we had the owner file for bankruptcy. Now, if you file for bankruptcy, it doesn't show up on your record. It's kind of like filing for divorce. Just because you file for divorce doesn't mean that the divorce occurs. So we actually paid, in this instance, and had them apply for bankruptcy. Now, this didn't show up on their record. We were able to buy the property. They got their relocation assistance money. They got the full release. It was a win-win-win all the way across. So I would say that's something that you can use in some extreme cases.
And that's, again, why we involve an attorney to make those types of decisions. We had one like that where the attorney suggested that the seller stop making payments to make it, and it worked. But I would never ever tell somebody to stop that unless that came from an attorney, and they advise along the way, Josh.
Absolutely. That's why it's important to have that team around you, right? You have the realtor, you have the attorney, and then you have the negotiator who kind of accompanies everyone together, having the title company do that.
Yeah, and basically as the title company, that's all we want to do and all we're allowed to do. As a matter of fact, in Illinois, if you are a title company, you are able to represent as a negotiator, obviously with written documentation. But, yeah, that's kind of where we draw the line. We don't advise against missing payments, filing bankruptcy. But, our team will help you with that and walk you along the way.
Yeah, so once, again, we're talking about the BPO, why it was important. What we're looking for is getting a short sale approval letter. Now, here's the bad news. If the bank accepts your first offer, means you offer too much. I've had instances where I've made offers on short sales, and I'm like, there's no way the bank is going to accept this offer. And come to find out, they didn't even counter me. They just accepted it flat out. And I'm like, shoot, I should have offered less. So typically what happens is the bank counters. And when the bank counters, this is a little inside track that the bank doesn't tell you, but this is usually that BPO price that they are at. And if that counter is at some astronomical number, it's probably because they did a drive-by BPO, and you need to then stress, well, let's get that internal BPO ordered. But again, I talked about on the first segment, the bank will take a percentage of that BPO price. So again, with FHA, you can get 84 to 88% of that valuation that the bank does. So you can get some really, really good deals. With Fannie and Freddie, you're looking at 88 to 92%. And some conventional loans, I've seen 70% discounts on that BPO. So that short sale approval letter, it's going to outline the sale price, the net amount to the bank. That's why having the settlement statement is important. Sometimes there's restrictions. So sometimes the commission gets reduced to the brokers to make that number work. I've reduced my commissions in some cases. I want to get the deal done. I'm not looking to get rich. I'm looking to help the homeowner. And when's that closing date? If you get a short sale approval letter and it gives you a date, you better close on that date, or you might have to, I don't want to say start from scratch, but you're redoing a lot of that short sale.
We've seen this a lot on deals that we're lending on where they're missing something as of the closing date, and it's this big rush, big fire drill to get it there because the bank doesn't care. The bank just follows its procedures, and if it's not closed by that date, they just push on to the next step.
Yeah, something you want to look for, too, is the resale clauses. A lot of times with a short sale, you can't buy it today for $100,000 and sell it tomorrow for $150,000. Usually they have some sort of deed restriction.
The language will be in the deed stating what you can and cannot do usually.
Yep. So make sure to look at that. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. The first 50 people to contact us will be getting a copy of the short sale package that we use to submit offers to the bank. We'll see you soon.
You're an investor, a lender in commercial real estate, or you're an attorney, and you use a title company. National Title Solutions wants a chance to be your title company. Give them a shot at your business, and you'll find out why they're the best choice. Most title companies keep banking hours and have no flexibility. National Title Solutions will do whatever it takes on your timetable. You'll save money, too. Give them an opportunity and see the difference. Convenient offices all over. National Title Solutions. Call 800-NTS-2700. 800-NTS-2700.
Need capital for your real estate investment? Let Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance be your partner for fast, flexible, and certain capital. Since 2008, they've funded millions of home flippers, landlords, auction buyers, wholesalers, and more. And they'd like their next deal to be with you. Submit your preliminary application now at barnettcapital.com/prelim or call them at 224-205-7266. Again, that's 224-205-7266.
AM 560, The Answer. It's all about making money with real estate. Now, back to Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer.
Today, we are talking about short sales.
One thing I wanted to bring up in the last segment when we were talking about approvals and negotiations, as an investor, it's very important to know that sometimes the bank will throw curves at all of us. For instance, they'll come back and say remove the closing fee or reduce the commission. Sometimes we just had one recently where they would not let the seller, or obviously the bank's paying, but they would not allow us to put past HOA dues on there. They made it a requirement that the buyer paid for that. So as an investor, don't be surprised if during the negotiating process you get some sort of correspondence that says, okay, well, the bank's not paying for the past HOA dues. They're asking you to. Again, that's your decision if you want the deal or not, but you will see some interesting things from the bank as far as removing, adding fees that are allowed, not allowed, etc.
That's a great point. That's why you never want to give your highest and best offer initially. Leave some room in there to negotiate in case that comes up.
Yep.
So today we started the show talking about what is a short sale. And in short, it's a sale in which you're buying a property from an owner who owes money to a bank, and that bank is going to get less than they're owed, or they're going to be paid back short of what they're actually owed. We talked about why these sales exist. I mean, typically a borrower is underwater. They owe more on the property than the property is worth. The short sale structure has pluses and minuses to various parties. For the investor, you can get a good deal, typically. The minus is it just takes a long time. So you're going to be scrambling to make sure you've got your finances lined up, you keep the money available. If it closes 12 months later, you're not tied up in 3 other deals, that sort of thing. For the owner, it basically allows them to get back on their feet and out of this financial burden. So they can avoid a hit on their credit score, they can get some relocation assistance, and there's sort of a variety of tools in this process that can be used to benefit the owner. On the lender's side, they're going to take a hit. They're going to take a principal hit, but, they're basically doing a math equation and saying, okay, if we foreclose on this and we take it back and we spend legal and we have holding costs to sell it, is that going to be more profitable than just selling it now? If the answer is it's about the same, or we actually get more now, then they're going to most likely sell it now through the short sale process. So that's kind of the what motivates everybody in the deal. Then we went on to actually how to do a short sale, what steps need to happen and all the various procedures that need to take place. Our giveaway this week is, of course, a checklist of all the things you need for this, and a big part of that process is just simply compiling that list. We then went on to actually talking about a real trick of the trade here, which is attending the BPO and doing everything you can to point out flaws, to make sure that negatives of the property are getting presented. And we talked about various tricks that you can kind of do to make that happen. We talked about stopping the sale date, which means precluding a scheduled foreclosure sale or auction sale or other sale transaction that the bank has implemented from going on, and the tools that you have to do that.
Yeah, the main thing you want to keep in mind here is make lots of offers and keep your pipeline full with short sales. If you have a team outsourcing all the work, who cares? They're doing all the heavy lifting for you. You're not having to collect all this paperwork and make lots of offers.
Don't be scared.
Yeah, no, it's
We'll take care of it.
There's a lot of steps involved, but that's why you have this team that we're talking today about, having that title company, having the attorney, having the realtor that understand this. Short sales are very, very profitable thing if you can execute them correctly, and having that right team is so important. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. The first 50 people to contact us will be getting a copy of the short sale checklist that we use when we submit offers to the bank. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer. Come back next Sunday at noon for more insider real estate information from Joshua and Vincent. You can listen to past shows, contact them, and get free exclusive content at realestateairwaves.com. That's realestateairwaves.com.